In Kerberos, what we have done is we have reduced the problem of sharing keys, symmetric keys between n number of users. Two from order n square to order n. Right? So now we'll look at what digital certificates are. Okay? Now here we look at the problem of how public keys are authenticated. Okay? We'll study some of these topics in very brief, like public key management, the use of directory, certification authority, certification operation, and certification when recipient is another method. So these are topics we'll discuss. Okay, the content for this presentation has been taken from this presentation by Dr. Natarajan from Jackson State University. I think he is now teaching in Institute of Science. And this book called Conklin and White. These are the authors, and the name of the book is Principle of Computer Security. Okay. Now, public key distribution system or public key encryption method, we have seen there are two keys that we use, right? So each user will have two keys. A symmetric key. Now, private key is private to the user. So, and user will do everything to protect it. Now, the public key is known to public. So, user when generates private key and public key, because both private key and public key are related to each other. When user generates this pair, that public key he has to publish somewhere or other. Okay, so all will know about it. Or a user may send a request to him to share public key, and he should be able to respond back with public key. Now, the question is that suppose Alice wants to talk to Bob, and she wants to use Bob's public key. Where will she get this public key from, right? She will get it from some source, somewhere on internet. Okay. And can there be interesting guy Trudy who will pose as a Bob and publish his own key as Bob's key or Bob's public key, right? So anybody can fake in public directory or outside somebody else's identity in terms of public key. Okay. So the question is that can Alice trust Bob's public key that's available publicly? Answer is no. Can somebody advertise his key as Bob's public key? Yes, 2D can do it. So 2D wants to communicate with Alice, and 2D knows that Alice will not want to communicate with 2D. So what? And Alice and 2D knows that Alice trusts Bob. What 2D can do is that he can broadcast his public key as Bob's public key. Okay. So 2D can pose as Bob on internet and then publish his own public key as Bob's public key. Okay. So what 2D can do is that he uses his own private key corresponding to public key that he has advertised as Bob's key to encrypt the message and send the encrypted message to Alice. And Alice will use Bob's advertised key to decrypt the message. Okay, so in this way, 2D is able to communicate with Alice. Okay, so what can we do to protect public key of users, right? Or how can Alice trust public key of Bob? That actually she is using Bob's public key, not 2D's public key. Okay. So question is here about the trust threshold. Now this trust threshold differs for everyone. This degree to which we are willing to believe an unidentified individual. Now, here we assume that Alice and Bob know each other. Alice may not know Bob at all. Bob may be one of the thousands of people she has to communicate for her work. Okay. So, so same is true in real life, right? I mean, how many strangers can you believe? Okay. So now what happens, right? Like, even in the case of recruitment, for example, when companies approach a candidate, right, or after a few rounds of interview and company decides to hire a person, they always it happens in senior positions, right? Not of course the first level position, that they approach a third party which is known to both, or say for example they will reach out to the CEO of a company where the person has worked. Okay. And then CEO will say, yeah, this guy worked with us and he's very good, and then you may please hire if required, and so on. So third party or some trusted source they will take reference from, or alternatively they will ask, after an interviewing process and taking final decision, they will ask the candidate to give 2 names of references who can vouch for this person. And if these people are known people and trusted people, then their reference will work. Okay. So this is very important process in recruitment, for example, as an example. What will happen for your recruitment, for example, into industry now? Who's the trusted party? See, once you are out of institute, you need a reference who can vouch for you. That's very, very important at senior level, right? So have some relationship with senior person in IT industry who has worked for a few decades, and then person can vouch, and when person who's hiring you will have confidence that you are a good person, right? Right now, who's vouching for you is your institute, right? So we are applying to an organization. Our organization will know that institute is vouching for you. But the whole concept is based on somebody vouching. Okay, and this is how the digital certificates are going to work. Okay, now can we say that Bob's public key is vouched by some third person who is trusted party? If that is so, then Alice knows that, okay, I have got reference from, say, some trusted third party, and then it should be good. Okay, this is how this concept of digital certificates works. Now we can use a publicly available directory where Bob's name and his public key is listed for using this key, right? So Alice can look at the public directory and we'll get this key from there. That's one way, but this is not again very authentic method, right? Because who has created directory, whether it is good or bad or updated, non-updated, all these problems will come, right? Say, and then of course, I mean, there's a huge amount of chances of fraud here. Second is that there is a certified or there is certification authority, okay, which has been given task by a certain set of people, right, or organizations to do this job, and that certification authority will issue a certificate. Okay, so we'll see how. So the first point we have discussed that we can use a public directory, and it's not very secure method. It's vulnerable to tampering and forgery. And the second method is to use a CA. Now CA here is certification authority, not chartered accountant. Okay. Okay, to vouch for everyone. Okay, so okay, so it means that it can certify Bob's public key as well as Alice's public key. Okay, All right. So here we have important concept of vouching for by third party as a basis of trust in setting where two parties don't know each other. So Alice and Bob don't know each other, and Alice has to use Bob's public key, and Bob has to use Alice's public key. And public key could be fraudulent if it does not come from trusted source. So there is a concept of CA, certification authority, that will issue a digital certificate that will contain public key and identity of the owner. It means that CA will say this is a public key of Alice. So it will contain, the certificate will contain Alice's public key and Alice's identity, which is name or whatever. Okay, all right. So CA attests the public key contained in digital certificate belonging to the person, right? So CA acts actually as a notary. Okay, we have concept of notaries. We go to notaries to get some documents to be notified. Okay, when you present these documents notified by notary to third party will trust that because know that notary would have done the job of checking the documents properly and notified. Okay. So let's move here. Okay. So a network or set of users have one CA because one CA can serve only to limited number of people, right? And then CA is a trusted party. Okay, and then CA has published his public key, which is non-fraudulent. Okay, so it means that they can trust the public key of CA. That's the assumption. Okay, now you may ask question: can somebody else pose a CA and publish the key? Of course, yes, but that could be one way of doing fraud, but that may not happen if CA is well known and publish the key at certain places. User will go to those places to know the public key of CA. Okay. All right. So next concept is that before communicating with any user, each user needs to communicate with the CA and get the digital certificate for the public key. Okay. Whose public key that we'll see. Okay. The user sends all identification information to registration authority that registration authority captures and authenticates the identity of the user. So each user will do that, right? So each user will go to CA with all the information he or she has. Okay, and then CA will register these users and authenticate them. Okay. So now the user, so that's the first part. Okay, now here understand that CA is the one who will just issue a certificate. It's not going to generate keys or anything like that. We have seen in case of Kerberos. Okay, so the user will. So it's a user responsibility to generate his own public and private key. Okay, the user generates his own public and private key pair and submits the certification request to CA for its public key. Private key is not to be shared with anybody, right? Okay, all right. So CA, when receives the request, does the following. First, he gets the identification information authenticated by the registration authority. Let's assume that there's another part of CA, which is the registration authority, who will authenticate the request that has come from, say, Alice, and then will authenticate the public key submitted by user. Okay, and then compute hash of identification information and the public key of the user. Okay, and encrypts the identification information, public key, and hash using its own private key. Now, CA will get identification information of the user after user has been authenticated by CA. Okay, and then the public key of the user, and then take these two information, identification information and public key, and create a hash. Okay, hash acts here like a signature. Okay, and all these three things, right? Identification information, public key, and hash are then encrypted with his own private key. Whose private key? CS private key. Okay, and CS public key is known. Okay, it means that this information, right, that ticket that he is creating now can be decrypted by everybody who has a public key of CA, but cannot be manipulated by anybody. Okay, it's not that 2D sitting somewhere wants to now create the ticket for Alice. Okay, so that's not possible. Now this encrypted message becomes a digital certificate for user. Now what this digital certificate says, that the user has a particular public key and CA has authenticated it, or CA is watching for it. Okay, so now once Alice gets digital certificate for her public key, then she can use this digital certificate for communication with everybody, right? She sends this digital certificate to Bob, and Bob will decrypt this digital certificate coming from Alice using CS or certification authorities public key, and then know that this is a genuine public key of Alice, right? Because certification authority has authenticated it. Okay. Now coming back, now let's assume A wants to communicate with B. What A will do is that encrypt the message with private key of A. Okay, and use public key of B to decrypt above encrypted message and digital certificate issued by CA. Okay. Okay, we'll look at the example. Okay. So basically, A is doing two encryption, right? First is that suppose Alice is communicating with Bob, and Alice has created a message M, and then first Alice will encrypt message M with her own private key. Okay, and then she will use the digital certificate issued by CA. Then she will attach this digital certificate to encrypted version of message, and then again encrypt everything with public key of Bob. Okay, all right, and Bob will do decryption of all that, right? First, what Bob will do is that will decrypt the message using its own private key, because everything on top was encrypted with Alice encrypted everything with Bob's public key. So Bob will use private key and decrypt it. It will extract the digital certificate issued by CA for public key of A, and then Bob will know that digital certificate is true, and Bob's key, Alice's key, which is public key, is also genuine, and use then Alice's public key to decrypt the message. We'll look at the concept here. Okay, Alice has asked a digital certificate for her public key. Okay, so name is Alice, say A, then she will give her identification, some identification, and then public key is K public A. Okay. Okay, so this is what she will request for. Okay. Okay, to CA, and CA will get this information, use his own. CA will also authenticate all this information, and because Alice is already registered with CA, and then CA will encrypt all this. Okay, using his own private key. So all this information plus hash of all this information will encrypt with his own private key. Now this becomes digital certificate. To whomever now Alice wants to communicate, she will use this digital certificate. Okay. Of course, that person to whom she is communicating has also to be registered with this same CA, or at least know the public key of the CA to decrypt this. Okay. All right. Now A is sending message, or Alice sending message to Bob. What will she do is that first thing is that she will create her own message and encrypt it with her own private key. So this is her own private key, and she has encrypted the message. Okay. So Bob, once after removing all other envelopes, will receive this and use Alice's public key. Will get the message back. Now before that, Bob has also to use proper public key of Alice, right? And how will he know that proper public key is coming? He will know through this digital certificate. So now note that the digital certificate is of course encrypted with private key of CA, and everything is encrypted with public key of Bob. Okay, so Alice attaches to encrypted message a certificate, digital certificate, and everything then is encrypted with public key of Bob. So when Bob receives this message, he will first decrypt the whole message with his own private key. Okay, Bob will know his private key can decrypt. It means that he will remove this external, the last one, the green envelope, light green envelope, right? So what now? Bob is only this one. What is the next step now? Okay, Bob can decrypt this message M with Alice's public key, and then he needs to know that correct public key. For that, he will look at this certificate that has come. Okay, and that certificate is encrypted with private key of CA. So he uses public key of CA because he's also registered with that CA to get this ticket. He will use hash value to verify this information, and then he will come to know the name of Alice, identity of Alice, and public key of Alice. So now after this decryption, he will know that this is a true or trusted public key of Alice. We use this public key of Alice to decrypt this message. So that's a step that's explained in this this slide. Okay. Now the question is that one important thing is that both users, Alice and Bob, have to be registered with the same CA. Okay. Now CA is limited to a network. Okay. Say for example, CA could be limited to your institute if your institute size is reasonably big. Okay. Now, if you want to communicate with somebody who is in totally different network, say totally different city, or maybe in USA or Europe, then what are you going to do then? That person may not be under the scope of the CA that you are registered with. Okay, it means that person's CA may be different from your CA. Okay. Then, say for example, Bob is in totally different network. Okay. So Bob cannot accept the CA certificate issued by your CA. Okay. So Bob needs then certificate from his own CA. Okay. So Bob needs another CA to attach public key of the CA of A. Note that in earlier case, when Bob and Alice are in the same network, then Bob has used the public key of CA to decrypt the message that has come from Alice. So to decrypt the certificate issued by CA. Okay. Now CA, now it means that now Bob will know only public key of the local CA in that place on that network, right? But that CA has to vouch for the public key of first CA. Okay. And then this way, the certificate that Alice will attach will have two certificates in that, right? I mean, first is for CA2 is vouching for CA1, and then second is CA1 is vouching for Alice. And then when both certificate reaches B, and B should be able to decrypt it and know that, yes, now I know that public key of A is trusted public key. Okay. Example is shown here. Any questions so far? I know it is not very intuitive. I mean, it will take time to understand it. Okay, another 5 minutes, we will finish the lecture. Okay, the first thing is that now let's assume that B is in different networks. Okay. Okay. So first, okay. So now what will happen is that CA2, which is in Bob's network, will issue a certificate to CA1, okay, certifying CA1. So this is a digital certificate for CA1, which will certify public key for CA1, okay, and it will be encrypted with public key of CA2. Okay, so this is a certificate issued by CA2, and of course, it means the certificate will be encrypted with public key of CA2. And then this is certificate issued by CA1 for public key of Alice. Okay, so when Alice sends a message to Bob, she will attach certificate issued by her own CA, and then certificate issued by CA2, who is certifying the public key of CA1. This public key of CA1, public key of CA1, this one. And when Bob receives this, it will first it will get this use his private key to get all these three things. Then first he will look at this one. He knows public key of CA2. Then he will, from this, he will verify the public key of CA1. Then uses public key of CA1, to get public key of Alice, and then uses that key to decrypt the message sent by Alice. Okay, so this certificates can be nested, right? If it's a higher 3 or 4 level hierarchy, then it can be nested like this, shown in this picture, right? Right. So there is a root CA, then we have an entity. There is intermittent CAs, and who will issue certificate. Okay. We'll come to summary. In any untrusted network, an intruder can show its own public key as somebody else's public key, right? So that kind of fraud is possible. So it means that now there is a need for public key to be certified. That's Alice public key that that Bob will use is actually Alice's public key, right? And in order to certify these public keys, there is a need for trusted authority, which we call a certification authority or CA. CA will issue a certificate for public key of Alice, and which Alice can use to communicate with Bob. So Bob, once receives this certificate, will know that it has come from Alice, and the certificate is issued by a certification authority. So the public key of Alice must be correct, so it can be trusted. All right. So note here the use of certification authority, which acts as a notary, which is a third party, trusted third party. Very similar to the concept that we have used in case of Kerberos.